Welcome to the Webseries Digest. I'm Sara, and this is episode 8, Editing and Uploading. My guests today are... Introduce yourself.
I'm Shannen, and I've already been on this show. Maybe Jules has too. We're recording a little bit out of order.
Yeah.
But, I made the web series The Adventures of Jamie Watson and Sherlock Holmes with Sara. I made Hamlet the Dame, and I made Eddy Rex with Nicole, and some other people. But, yeah.
Okay. I'm Jules. Shannen spoiled it, but I'm Jules.
You're right, I did.
I made a bunch of web series. I co-made Like As It Is. I made 12th Grade or whatever. I half made the Uncanny Upshurs, and I made the Emma Agenda.
She's so ahead of us.
I know.
You guys gotta make more shows. You can beat me.
I know.
We're working on it. Alright, so like I said, today we're talking about editing, and full disclosure, editing is not my thing. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm really good at, clip editing. I'm not good at all at sound editing, which is clearly why I've brought other people on this show to talk about it. So let's start with what is good editing, because sometimes we talk about shows, both web series, but also in films and in TV. We go, oh, that's really good editing, and oh, that's really bad editing. So what is good editing? And I'll have Shannen start.
Oh. Wow. That's a really good question. That's really hard to answer. Because it is I can watch something and be like, that was edited really well, or that was edited really bad. And it's kind of it's part of it just starts with the cinematography. If the cinematography's good, it's easier to make the editing good. Mm-hmm. But it's using the shots in the right way. It's I think of I edited a scene once, not for a web series, where it was just two people sitting at a table talking. So it's the easiest scene in the world to film, because you just basically do close-ups of each of them, and then we did a wide shot of the table, and we actually did a mid shot of each of them, and then an even closer close-up.
Extreme close-up.
Yeah, and then the table was huge at this cafe, and so they're talking.
I suddenly realized what project you're talking about. Go on.
Yeah, and so they're talking, and it's two people who haven't seen each other since high school, and they're in college now, and it's this really awkward conversation. And so when I was editing it, it's close up, she says something that's really awkward, and he doesn't know how to respond to it, and then I cut to the wide shot of this giant table, and it's that space between them and the silence, and you can feel the awkwardness. If I had just cut to his close-up, you wouldn't have been able to feel that as much. And then as the conversation goes on and, gets deeper, I guess, they have more of a connection, then I cut to the even closer close-up, because it's, getting closer to them emotionally.
Yeah, and
so,
for vlog-style shows especially, I find that, I'm thinking about the Emma Agenda, when Emma vlogs and the vlog is her, talking happily about her friends' love lives and stuff like that, I tend to edit very quickly, and I tend to have there be a lot of jump cuts. But when it's her, lamenting that she did something wrong, it's longer shots, try to make there be more space around everything. Because those empty spaces give a feeling of, loneliness and, sadness. So it really depends on, the mood of what you're filming.
Yeah, because the editing reflects the mood of the characters. That's what it should do. Mm-hmm. It should the audience shouldn't notice it, because the audience, it should just be making the audience feel something.
Yeah. And a lot of editing is just, tied into what you have available.
Yeah.
The shots that, the clips and stuff that you have, you can't make something out of nothing, if that makes sense.
Oh, for sure.
And that's I'll watch behind the scenes of, real big production movies where they talk about, because they'll have more time and money to do reshoots, and they'll talk about being in the editing process and going, oh man, we really need this shot that we didn't get at the time. Because sometimes you're editing something and you're like, there's a shot that I wish we had that I never even thought of getting while we were there.
Watching Kingsman, and no
Yes.
spoilers for Kingsman, but there's a particular site, I sometimes say words wrong, a particular fight scene where they went in afterwards and they were like, oh, we really wish we'd gotten, we really had to get security cam footage. So they had to bring everyone back in and reshoot this entire ginormous fight scene.
And it's 5 seconds of the movie.
Yeah.
But it makes the scene just a little bit better. But in a way that, like, the audience isn't supposed to notice.
Yeah, and you really have to, like, utilize every take you have. Like, I remember I was editing something for Emma, and one of the actors had a line like, he didn't go to your party in the script, but the actress kept saying birthday party, and it was specifically not a birthday party. So I had to edit around that, and I ended up not being able to find a take where she said just party. So I had to, like, fancily edit
and that's
around
like
that.
Like, stuff like that happens, and then you can cut to the other person if you have full coverage of the scene. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to, like, important to get, like, full coverage of a scene. But, and that's, like, when filming, someone might be like, wow, that was the best shot we've done, and, like, you know, make a note, like, script supervisor would make a note that's like, that was the best shot, the director loved it. But then in editing, like, the editor might be like, that wasn't a good shot, or the director might be with the editor and be like, yeah, you know what, actually, that wasn't as good as I thought, and I liked something in this other shot better. Like, it's important to watch all the takes, basically, and to watch all the shots if it's the same, like, scene from multiple angles, and to really think about, like, okay, what is the best one to put here? What's the best line delivery or close-up or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
So let's move now. I want to talk a little bit about how editing a web series is different from doing other projects, and kind of like what are some, like, common, I almost want to say tropes for editing in a web series, which for vlog style there's generally very little editing. I think. I mean, it really depends. But it's almost like it's editing where you shouldn't even really notice that there's editing. Yeah. Really.
Yeah.
And that's true
I have a trope I don't like.
Yeah.
And it kind of ties into, like, what shots they got. But, like, when you're watching a show, and, like, a vlog-style show, and someone's monologuing to the camera, and it's a close-up on them, and then it cuts to a wider shot when you know, oh, someone's about to come in.
Yeah.
That is, like, the most annoying thing, because it's like, why in world did the person adjust the camera in the world? What happened here?
Yeah.
It just takes me out of it.
And I think that's, like, one of the hardest things about... It's hard to talk about editing without me talking about cinematography, but it's the hardest thing about, like, cinematography and editing a web series is making it make sense in world. Yeah, so it's like when the camera suddenly shifts angles and it doesn't make sense for it to... or, like, when there's just a jump cut and it doesn't make sense in the character's conversation. It's harder when you have, like, multiple characters talking, because then it makes, like, less sense for there to be cuts usually, unless you write them in. And also because the actors, it's going to be harder for them to get it in, like, one take, so then it is kind of like you want jump cuts in there.
Yeah. You can have a really emotional moment and then a jump cut in the middle of it, and it kind of takes you out of it, and that always really annoys me when, like, we can't get something in one shot, and then I have to put a jump cut in the middle in there, and it feels like, well, what's happening in the middle of that jump cut, you know?
Yeah, and then sometimes, though, in editing, I've been editing a vlog episode, and it was like, oh, we did this whole thing in one take, but then I'm editing it, and I'm like, well, actually, I like part of it from another take, and I realize I can put a jump cut in there, and it makes sense, and it's fine. Yeah. Or sometimes I'm like, actually, I want a jump cut in there, because I want the feeling that time has passed, even if it's just a minute has passed.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't watched enough non-vlog style web series to speak to, like, tropes in that editing. So I don't really know about that.
Because that would be more like tropes and...
Yeah, that's more just kind of like general
quote-unquote things.
editing, which again, Shannen can kind of speak to, just kind of from doing short films and also doing the
second season
of Taj Watch.
Well, and Eddy Rex.
Oh, and Eddie...
Well, Eddy Rex is a little different because it's like The Office.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mockumentary style.
So parts of it are vlog and parts of it are not. But
well, and that's like an interesting thing with Eddy Rex is... For the most part, we didn't change a lot of stuff from, like, script writing to editing, but there were a couple times where, like, we had a talking head in one place, but then in editing it was like, no, it's going to make sense for it to be at this other place instead. So we moved stuff around just a little bit. And that's just stuff that, you know, it's not bad that you didn't notice it in writing or in filming. Yeah. It's just, like, when you get to edit, and sometimes you... realize it's better this way in editing just because of how an actor did it or something, you know?
Yeah, just because you realize there's a different flow to it.
Yeah, than what you originally thought it would be.
Yeah, and if it's like a separate person who's writing and editing it, if you're the person who wrote it, send the editor the script. That's very important. Like, I've been in a situation where I had, like, to edit something, but I didn't have the script in front of me, and I was like, what order is everything supposed to be in?
And that's like if you're in like a real professional film setting, you would have the script and then there would have been a script supervisor who would have taken notes for the editor.
Which, since generally the person, not always, but since generally the person editing a web series is the same person who's filming it.
Yeah.
So they can pretty much remember, you know, what they liked, what they didn't like. And hopefully I'll have a chance to talk about this in our filming episode, which, because we're recording this out of order, I haven't had a chance to do it yet. Just kind of the importance of how I think that web series need to start using script supervisors. I feel like that's something that we're all not doing because it's an easy job to cut, but I really think that we as a whole probably need to be doing more notes on like what shots we want to take, so that's like, and doing more takes and stuff like that.
If any listeners don't know what a script supervisor is, the script supervisor, because I did this a lot on film club sets.
Same. I wasn't good at it.
I was. So the script supervisor has I mean, like, professional script supervisors probably have, like, laptops and stuff, or an iPad, but, I'd always have, like, a piece of paper, and it was, like, basically a grid, and you'd write down the, shot, depending on, like, how long your thing is, the scene number, the shot number, and the take number. So... And then for each take, you'd make notes, unless there was really nothing to write about. So then, it was the script supervisor's job to make sure that every shot was from the shot list, if you have a shot list, which you should, but vlog series, you don't need that so much. So to make sure that they got every shot, to make sure that the whole scene was covered. Script supervisor also keeps track of continuity, so, like, this object is sitting on this table that way, or, like, this is how this person moved. So if you do it from another angle, they also need to move that way. But again, that's not as applicable to vlog series. I mean, continuity in general is, but it makes sense when there's jump cuts and things are slightly different, sometimes. And then, so then the script supervisor will also write down stuff like what the director said about a shot, if the director liked it or whatever, or if a mistake was made, write down, like, this shot is useless, or the first part of this shot works, but then this person said this line wrong or whatever. So actually when we made, when we did Notes by Christine, which I worked on sometimes, we had a script supervisor most of the time. I don't really know how the editing process of that went, but, like, we usually had someone who took notes and stuff. Not on any of the other shows.
I was going to say, side note, on professional shoots, I'm one of those people who likes to stay and watch the credits during movies, and I always look for the script supervisor, and I cannot remember the last time I saw one that was male. I think script supervisors are...
Well, the job used to be called script girl.
Yeah.
Like, that was what the job was called. Yeah. And it was kind of looked down upon. I mean, not really looked down upon, but it was very much like, well, that's a girl's job, because it seems kind of, like, secretarial, but it's, like, a really important job.
It is.
And a lot of the times we just kind of said, like, the script supervisor is basically the editor's ambassador on set. They're there to make sure the editor doesn't get confused.
I mean, so basically all that is to encourage people making, even if you're making a blog style, to start to do script supervising. Anyway, you were going to say something, Jules?
Yeah, I mean, for me, for all the web series I've worked on, I've written, directed, and edited it. Like, it's been all me. And I'm also a compulsive editor, where once I have the footage and the actors have left for the day, I sit down and I start editing it.
Oh,
so
yeah, I've done
being
that.
like
That's
having like a script supervisor hasn't always been entirely necessary for me, because I still remember, it's like the same day, so I still remember what worked and what didn't. But like, if I was in a more professional situation, I can totally see why a script supervisor would be necessary. And definitely shot lists, I've found, now that Emma Agenda is not entirely vlog style, it's a lot of traditional stuff as well, I've found that having a shot list is really useful. And I didn't realize before.
Outside of vlog style, like, shot list is pretty necessary. Like, unless it's like a really easy scene.
Yeah, unless it's like two people talking at a table, and it's like just a wide shot and his face and her face, and that's it.
Yeah, no movement, whatever.
Then you don't need it. But like, if it's a bit more complicated than that, you need one.
Yeah, and it's fine when you get on set and like divert from the shot list, but
yeah,
we're getting away from editing now.
Yeah. Some of this will be talked about during filming.
And shot list is important for the editor to have too, because then they know what each shot is, because it's not the script supervisor's job to write down what is happening in the shot, what the purpose of the shot is. It's the script supervisor's job to make notes about the shot, so the editor still needs that shot list to go like, oh, this is, I'm gonna click on this file and it's the close-up. And that's like, even if you're directing or filming your own show that you wrote or that you're gonna edit, if you're not like Jules and I, and you're not gonna immediately start editing it that night, then you still, even if you don't have someone whose job it is to be script supervisor, like, you as the director may still want to take notes sometimes, just for yourself to use if you're going to be editing it like weeks later. And like, that takes extra time on set, and you're already super stressed, and I know that. But just like, if you have a notebook and you just write down like, oh, the third take was the best, and that'll just be a little bit easier for you in editing, to be like, oh, this was the shot I liked the best on set, so let me watch that one first.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's talk a little bit about sound editing, and I wanted to first focus on kind of music sources and
my man Kevin MacLeod.
Yeah, I love that guy.
He's the best.
I'll link it down below, but I think like the number one source for royalty-free music on the internet is Incompetech.com.
Yeah, that's my dude.
Is it Incompetech or is it Incompetech?
Incompetech.
Yeah.
Incompetech. Everyone, like, I've seen so many YouTube videos, like, use his music.
Yeah, that's the one annoying thing about being really familiar with Incompetech, is now I watch something and I'm like, that's like an Incompetech.
Hey, there's my dude!
I'm like, that's my dude, but then I'm like, well, that's from like 2012. You couldn't have found something more recent. His newer stuff is so much better.
Yeah, and
that's
also,
how I start to think.
Also, it's like, I'm like watching a web series, like, if you're familiar with like all the or Ben Sound songs and stuff like that, if you're familiar with all those and you go into a show and you're like, oh, I recognize that song, it kind of takes you out of it.
Yeah.
I suggest going like a couple pages deep into the Incompetech music library and not like downloading something from the first page that everyone knows.
Yeah.
Like, for sure.
Listen to as much stuff as possible, and it's like you can filter by like genre and mood.
There's so
and stuff.
much. There's so much.
And he's just
the music machine.
He just comes out with stuff constantly.
Yeah.
Like,
there's also I know, Shannon, you've been using this a lot, the YouTube audio library.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't know as much about.
The YouTube audio library, it actually has a lot of Incompetech stuff on it. But yeah, it has a lot of other stuff. It doesn't have as much as just Kevin MacLeod himself, but it just has a lot of other stuff, and you know, his stuff starts to sound the same because it's all made by one guy. So if you need something that sounds different, it has a lot of stuff on it, and it's all free to use on YouTube, so YouTube's not gonna mute your video.
And then there's like, and one thing to be careful of, because I remember we were talking about this for Taj Wash, because we had the song that we used in our opening was like a classical song that was in the public domain, Dance Macabre.
Yeah.
And but it was hard tracking down a public domain copy of the song. So like that's another good idea as well. If you're just kind of looking for background music, there's like a lot of like classical music pieces that are now in public domain, but you need to be sure you're getting a copy of the song that is public domain, because you can run into a lot of problems using copyrighted music, and I think everyone knows that. And it's not just legal trouble, it's now that like YouTube has
it just like takes your video down or like flags it.
Yeah,
like
and
here's
blocks
what
it in
I'll
certain
say
countries.
about using copyrighted music is if you're making like a web series and you're not making any money, you're probably not going to get sued for using something,
but it is going to be like flagged or something, and like there's going to be like a thing on YouTube, and you're going to get like a copyright strike on YouTube. And I know this because for the Like As It Is trailer, I wasn't thinking, and I used a copyrighted song, and so Quip Modest YouTube channel has a copyright flag against it, and it had like 3 strikes in your ad or something.
YouTube has sent me to copyright school. It's very interesting. You just like upload a video, and it's like your last strike or whatever, and then suddenly you're redirected to a page where like you have to watch this cartoon video about don't steal music or whatever.
Really?
And I was like, oh.
I kind of want to get 3 strikes now just so I can see that video.
I think it's pirate themed because you're a pirate because you stole this music.
That's amazing.
I was just like, what's that? Well, and the weird thing is it was like all the other strikes were on a different channel, but the channels were connected. So I uploaded something on it, and so I didn't think it would happen, but then it did. It was very like weird. But yeah, so don't use copyright. I mean, we in Taj Wash, we used Single Ladies. You played it on your phone, and it was less than 30 seconds long. Usually, if it's less than 30 seconds long,
You're okay.
you're not going to get flagged, but you might depending on the song and whatever. And then we used
under 30 seconds, I think you're covered in parody law.
yeah.
And
But always double check the laws before you do before you do anything. Involving copyrighted anything.
And then we used the Kill Bill siren, which was really short and was fine.
and everyone uses the Kill Bill siren.
Yeah. I feel like we used something else, but I don't remember. Maybe not. And then, hey, you can cover a song.
Yeah.
And then it's yours.
Yeah.
So.
No one can sue you if you're performing the song yourself, you know?
Yeah. Unless
you're really good and you sound exactly like it.
if you're making money, again, that would get into bad territory. But, like, if you're not making money, then it doesn't matter.
But then again, there are, like, cover albums. We're getting a little off topic, but, like...
Yeah, I don't know, like, how that works.
You probably pay money to...
Yeah,
it
probably
depends
have
on
to,
the
or
song
like,
and
part of part of the money.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a question for musicians and not for us.
Okay. So then going off of music, I don't actually have this on the outline, but talk a little bit about sound editing, because this is where I suck.
It's really hard.
I stink at it too. I'm so bad at it. Like, I got this new microphone and I'm holding it for Shannen and Sara. You can't see it. But I got this little Zoom mic and I love it. It's adorable, it's really small, but it's really powerful, and everything sounds really good. Except, it doesn't sound good because I can't figure it out.
Yeah, that's...
I'm sure there's YouTube tutorials.
It's hard to, like,
There are.
sound edit, because it starts... I mean, like with video, it starts on set. They have to be able to do it well. You have to be able to do it well if you're doing it. And so, if you don't know how to do it, then it's going to be harder in editing.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, like... I always have a really hard trouble getting stuff to all the same volume.
Oh,
I
yeah.
start to really overthink it. Because, like, you know, depending on how far away the mic is, because of whatever the shot is, it's going to be lower or higher volume.
Yeah, and like professional productions, they can mic the actors, they can have boom mics, they can have mics everywhere.
But I've just got this mic sitting on top of the camera, and so, like, that's all I can do.
Yeah, Tajwash, we had a separate mic from the camera, and a lot of times we'd, like, hide it in the shot and be like, okay, everybody, the mic's there, talk at it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the hardest part for me was always getting it at the same volume. I mean, assuming you're just editing, like, normal dialogue, because then when it starts getting into, like, sound effects and stuff...
Yeah.
That's even harder, because you're like, how loud should this be? Someone knocking on a door...
Yeah, and it's like, how far away is this door?
Yeah, and, like, how, like, distorted is it because it's on the other side of a door? We, for the first season of Tajwash, almost every time someone knocks on the door, they're actually knocking on a table that's, like, right off screen. And I never edited that sound because it actually sounded fine. It sounded like it was coming from the door.
Yeah, can I say something I do pretty much for every video I'm editing? Is once I have it, like, all, like, lined up, like, all the clips are lined up and everything is, like, next to it. That's not professional at all. But, like, once it's, like, in the timeline and it's all done.
Yeah.
I'm using Premiere, and what I do is I, like, right-click on it, and there's this thing called, like, audio gain, and then you, like, set, like, max peaks at 0. And that usually gets, like, everything at about the same volume, and then you can, like, tweak it from there. But, like, that's what I tend to do. And, like, sometimes it, like, I do that and it's all good. And then sometimes I go in and I'm like, no, this clip is a little bit softer. And then I increase the gain of that one. But, like, that's, like, a good starting point, I find.
Yeah. Well, then it's hard when, like, okay, they're all at, like, the average same volume. But then in one part, like, this character yells for some reason. And it's like, well, that's still got to be louder. But you don't want it to be, like, so loud that it's hurting someone's ears.
And then you get another clip that's like there's a lot of noise in the background because they were talking softer, and when you raise it to the same volume, it just doesn't work.
And you do have to think about when you're making a web series. Probably everyone watching it is listening with headphones, or like more likely than not.
So don't blow people's ears out.
Yeah, so there are probably going to be a little bit more sensitive to it, and like I always edit with headphones, so it's not like a huge deal, but sometimes you do have to think that way, like, okay, it's not just like they're hearing it coming from their laptop, they're hearing it right in their ear. And that's why kind of going back to background sound, if you were really good on set, you got room tone, which is just like, 30 seconds to a minute of silence in the location where you are, because that's really helpful in editing. Like, we always do that. We've always done that. I mean, there have been some times where we forgot, but it's always like we have to get room tone. Especially when we got into, like, Hamlet and second season of Tajwash, like, they go to a lot of different places. And that room tone is helpful in editing, because if there's, like, weird background sound in one shot, then you can kind of use the room tone in other shots to, like, make it sound similar. You can, like, if you have to silence part of a clip, then you use the room tone to fill in that silence. I feel like that wasn't the best way to explain it. It's hard to explain when I'm not, like, sitting and showing someone in editing. But, like, we use a lot of room tone in Eddy Rex because there were a lot of parts where we had to silence stuff. I don't even know why, but we did. Yeah.
A lot of dramatic pauses in Eddy Rex.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of sound editing with Eddy Rex because he yells a lot. And the rest of the characters do not yell a lot. So there was a lot of, like, bringing Eddy's audio down and bringing other people's audio up. But not too much, because you don't want the backgrounds, the natural background sound of the room to suddenly get louder, because people can tell.
Yeah, you gotta do a lot of crossfading.
Yeah.
Crossfading's your best friend.
Yes. And then, like, getting back to music, you have to make sure the music doesn't
overpower everything.
Yes. Which can be hard sometimes. Because, especially because you're editing it, you know what they're saying.
Yeah.
So you don't always realize when it's too overpowering.
I suggest when, like, you finish the videos, get someone else to watch it.
Yeah. I'd always bring Sara in and be like, watch this. Or if I had to, like, there were a couple times where I have to take, like, audio from a different clip and put it into something and make it look like the character's saying it or whatever. And I'm like, Sara, look at this. Listen to this. Do you notice anything weird? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, good. Nothing was weird.
Yeah. I remember I once, like, sent you guys, like, a thing that I thought sounded horrible. Because I knew what I did. And I sent it to you guys, and I was like, hey, you guys notice anything weird here? And you were like, nope. And I was like, okay, it's good. Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so moving right along, we're going to talk a little bit about uploading. And uploading schedules is going to be covered in another, probably will be covered in the planning portion of this podcast. But just, so I just want to talk about generally running channels and putting captions on videos and kind of just that side of the, the web series, which I don't think is like, it's really a huge thing, the actual running of the channel. It's pretty streamlined these days. I think YouTube makes it. It's like so easy to upload videos and, but do you guys have any advice for anyone who's
subtitles advice?
We're going to talk about that in a second.
Okay, what's Shannon's thing?
I was going to say there's a thing on YouTube a lot of people don't know about, upload defaults.
Yes,
and that
upload defaults, my love.
And that's great for web series, so you can, it's just like every time you upload a video to that channel, it has all of these defaults, and then you can edit them for the video, like, no problem, but I always had in these upload defaults for each web series.
And that's in the description box, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the description box and it's all the other settings of the video.
And like the tags and stuff.
Yeah, so I always had all the credits of like, produced by, directed by me. And I always had like every actor who was in the show, and then I just delete their names in each episode to be like, well, they're not in this episode. Whatever description you have of your show, like, this is an adaptation of Hamlet by William Shakespeare. The tags would have, like, Hamlet, Shakespeare, William Shakespeare, Hamlet the Dame, whatever. And then if there's, like, a format to your titles, I'd have that in the title bar. Like, Tajwash, the first season always started with a number. I don't even remember how I titled the rest of the shows, but basically, like, I think Hamlet, it was just the name, it didn't have numbers or anything, so that didn't matter. Tajwash, for the full-length episodes, it had like Tajwash season 2 episode 1, I think, so I just had that in there, and then I plugged in the title, and then I'd plug in if there was some other kind of summary or in-character thing at the beginning of the description, or if I wanted more tags on it. And then it lets you do all the other, like, settings, like, public, private, unlisted, whatever.
Yeah, I also just want to say, like, unlisted is your best friend.
Yeah.
Like, you do not have to upload the video the day that you are releasing it. If you put it unlisted and then you make it public, it says uploaded on the day you made it public. It doesn't say uploaded on whatever day you uploaded it. So, like, I know that there are, like, some web series that have been like, oh, we forgot to upload today. Or, like, I didn't have access to my computer, so I couldn't upload it. And then, but I'm just like, well, if you have your phone, you can change it from unlisted to public on your phone. Yeah. And so it's just, like, a way more convenient thing than to, like, upload it on the day
and
of.
I never did that because I'm paranoid until Eddy Rex, but that was all in 1 week, so we just uploaded it all at once. But, that's definitely helpful. I think, when you talk about captions, that's the hardest part.
Yeah, captioning. Yeah. Shannen complains about my dialogue, or she complained about my dialogue in Tajwash a lot because I'd go off script.
Yes, Sara always went off script and said and stuff, but it was more the going off script, which, like, is fine. Filming, editing, whatever, like, yeah. At least that's not my advice for a web series. If you want your actor to stick to the script, then tell them to stick to the script. But it was fine as long as she got the gist of whatever needed to be said. But then it was really hard to caption because I couldn't just drop the script in.
Yeah. definitely captions are really annoying to do, but they're also, like, really important.
Yes.
I suggest
Yeah.
if you can find someone who is willing to do it, but that's not likely because it's not fun.
Yeah. And now on YouTube you can have it set so that anyone can write captions for your videos, and then you can approve them. So, I mean...
But you
can
have
turn
to
that
have
on
a big enough fan base that someone
Yes.
is like, I'll take the time out of my day to do this.
And if you do that where you upload it unlisted or whatever, then you can do captions before you post it, which is probably the best way to do it. So then they just have captions from the get-go.
Yeah, I'm really lucky because for Emma Agenda, I found someone who wants to remain anonymous who is willing to caption it. So
That's
all
so
the
nice.
episodes have captions as soon as they're up, and I'm just like, this person is my lifesaver, but they don't really want to be, like, said on, like, YouTube.
Yeah.
They don't want to be credited, and I'm just like, why don't you want to be credited? You're doing awesome work here.
That's the hardest job.
Yeah.
And that's...
Also, captions. I'm looking at you, freaking couple-ish or whatever, like, stop with the... Okay, they're doing it better in this season because they have, like, 2 sets of captions, but, like, stop with the cutesy commentary.
Yeah, like, I do that, like, sometimes, like, just because I'm bored making captions, basically.
Yeah.
But it's always just, like, I don't know, I think at some point in Hamlet I had, like, you know, in brackets, like, awkward pause.
Yeah, and that's
or, like,
fine.
this is awkward.
Because,
I was like,
yeah.
this is, like, little things like that. Like, you can have fun with your captions, but if you have too much commentary in there, like, you have to remember the point of captions.
It's for people who can't hear it well, or, like, this is all they've got.
Yeah, it's for hard of hearing people, so...
And which I'm not hard of hearing, but I always like having captions because it helps me with processing the the information, which I think it also helps a lot of people that way as well.
Yeah, and that's like...
Not to discount, the importance that it's for people who are hard of hearing or cannot understand what's being said in a video.
The people who need to read the captions to know what's going on, the commentary is not helpful to them because it makes it harder to, like...
Yeah.
It takes up time that they could be reading. I mean, I don't think that's usually a problem, but, like...
Yeah, but it's just, like, it's messing with, like, the basic... Like, it's just supposed to be, like, a basic, here's what's being said, here's what's happening.
Yeah.
And, like, if someone doesn't want anything extra... Like, what Couplish is doing this season is they have... The default captions have the cutesy commentary, and then, like, if you switch it to English Canadian, it's, like, normal captions. Which I think it should be the other way around. I think the default captions should be the normal ones. But, like, whatever. I don't have anything to do with that. But, like, if you, like, want to have cutesy commentary, like, make another set of captions, but also, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, why would you take that time? I say just default, don't put that in there.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or make the cutesy commentary not part of the captions, but, like, part of the show, if that makes sense. Like, edit it in. You know what I'm saying?
But,
like...
Yeah, but then that's, like... But then you're getting to, like, well... Yeah, I don't know. That, like, if it, like, fits, then fine.
Yeah, if you want that to be part of the concept of the show.
But clearly they want it to.
Well, yeah.
So that's, I mean, not, I've never watched Couplish, but it's like, if they're going to that much trouble, like, why not just edit it in, like, and have little brackets appear on screen, like...
Yeah, I don't know.
This is really awkward. Yeah, I know.
I just see stuff on Twitter where people are like, you should watch Carmilla with the subtitles, because it has all these cute things in it. And I'm just like... But it shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be there on default. It's just annoying.
Yep. And I'm like, how do you do that? Captioning is already hard enough.
And you gotta make up jokes?
Oh, man.
I don't want to make up jokes. I just want to type it up and get done with.
I already did all the jokes. We filmed those. I'm uploading it. Now I just want people to read it. Yeah. Yeah, but just going back to regular captioning, if your actor's stuck to the script, then the easiest thing to do is to drop the script in, and then you have to, like, take out, like, script formatting things and stuff, but then you don't have to edit all the dialogue. But if you're auto-syncing it with YouTube, you still have to go in and make sure it all synced properly.
Yeah.
Which YouTube has gotten, like, just a few months ago, their captioning system got, like, better, just in terms of how well it syncs and stuff. And also their automatic captions are a lot better than they used to
Oh,
be.
God. I remember, like, the first time I saw captions on YouTube, and I was like, oh, my God, I can finally caption these videos. And it was a mess. The words did not make sense, and I was just like, oh, my God.
Really
it was really
But
bad.
that's, I noticed it when I was rewatching The Great Tarmac Road, that it was a lot better. And especially because, obviously, YouTube auto captions is made for American accents, so Great Tarmac Road, only Trudy is American, so it was like not good before, but then you could pretty much tell what was going on. But don't rely on YouTube auto captions, because it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Do your own captions.
Yeah.
Even if it takes forever and you hate it.
Yep.
Yeah, because it really is
worth
just
it.
like such a nice thing to do for people, and like
Yeah.
will definitely expand your audience even, because like there's a whole sector of people who wouldn't watch it if it didn't have captions.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Anything else you guys think that newbies should know about running YouTube channels, or?
I guess like you don't have to make a separate email for every YouTube account.
Yeah.
Because YouTube lets you like make multiple accounts under the same email, and I know I didn't know that in the beginning, so
Yeah.
I just made a bunch of email addresses, and it was harder to switch between them. But like, yeah, YouTube lets you like have multiple accounts under the same name.
Yeah. You have, like, multiple channels. And now you can, like, link accounts somehow. Like, that's kind of accidentally happened to me sometimes, like, but it's not quite the same thing. You're still logging in and out of the email.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little bit easier because you can do it from YouTube. But yeah, you can make multiple channels on one account. And they're not, like, linked as far as the public looking at your channel is concerned.
people can't tell, but, like, it's
unless
good
you,
for
like, you know, advertise, because you can add, like, your modules to your channel, and you can add, like, a channels module, and you can link to all your other channels if you want to do that.
Yeah.
That's especially good if you are doing a web series. People don't do this as much anymore, but where there are multiple channels for different characters.
Yeah.
You definitely want to do that. And you definitely want to make a playlist.
Yes,
playlist
for your show that has everything in it. And if it can be an in-character playlist if you feel like that's necessary, or
just an out-of-world playlist.
Yeah, an out-of-world playlist.
Here's my question for you guys, for your opinions on this, because I have not come to a consensus on this. For your, like, entire show playlist, should you put the trailer at the beginning of it?
I don't know.
I say no.
I say no as
generally.
well, because then the playlist just has, like, if your show is 55 episodes, then it says 55 episodes, and that, like, gives people a good idea of what it is. But, like,
also, generally, if people are going to the playlist, they're going to watch the show. You assume that they've already seen the trailer, or if they haven't, you know, they want to start at episode 1, scene 1.
And also,
so putting the trailer at the beginning, even if it's a short trailer, I don't think it makes a lot of sense.
I also wouldn't put, like, behind-the-scenes stuff in the playlist either. Like, cause
like, I understand
why
the urge. It's because it's like, I want to make sure that people know this exists. Because it is like someone could watch your whole show and never click on the channel, or if it's an in-character channel, you know, how are they gonna...
They're not gonna, like, know about your, like, company's channel.
Yeah, to that. So, I understand why. And I don't know, I could understand, like, because you can edit a playlist later, just putting, like, having the trailer in there while the show is still airing? Or,
Yeah,
like,
that's a
while
good
you're
compromise.
uploading the first few
I think one
episodes?
interesting thing that Kate Morland Chronicles did is they put the trailer at the end of the playlist. And I'm not really sure why they did that, because, like, by the time you're done with the show, if you watch the whole playlist, you're not really looking to watch the trailer.
Yeah.
But I'm curious as to why they did that. I guess I could ask them at some point, but Yeah,
But depending on your trailer or whatever, and if you're early enough in the show, that could almost feel like here's what else you have to look forward to.
Yeah.
I think with Eddy Rex, we have the trailer at the beginning of the playlist, but it's a 7-episode show, and the trailer isn't actually a trailer for the show.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
It's part of the experience.
So that's my exception.
Yeah,
but-
because
I
the
will
thing
also
about
say-
Eddy Rex is that like the trailer was the April Fool's joke, and then the reverse heel turn in April Fool's joke
Yes.
was that it was an actual thing.
Yes.
Yes. The joke was that it was a real show. I would also say if you're planning on doing enough like extra content, like behind the scenes videos and bloopers videos,
Yeah, I'd say
you
make
could
2 playlists.
Yeah, exactly. You could make an extras playlist, and the first thing in that extras playlist could be your trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And you can link to that in the description of the first playlist.
Yeah, that
If you
too.
want.
And because that's that's not in character. The playlist,
Yeah.
for example, could be like you could argue that the playlist is made by someone who's watching the drama go down and just trying to track it.
Yeah, I know for the Uncanny
No,
Upshurs, for Uncanny Upshurs, we have the main show, but then we also have 2 trailers and a sort of out-of-world prologue, and we have 2 separate playlists for that. And the playlist that is includes the trailers and the prologue is made by the production group's channel, while all the vlogs is made by the Uncanny Upshurs channel.
Yeah, and I did eventually with Taj Wash with the first season. This was just because I was bored one day, but I don't know, it might be helpful to people. There's a full playlist for the first season, and then I made playlist just for each story arc.
Mm-hmm.
So, because Taj Wash, most shows aren't like this, but it's very split up into,
It's very
smaller story
episodic.
arcs. Mm-hmm. So, it was like, if you just want to come
If you just
and
like
watch
the Hounds of the Baskervilles.
Yeah, you can just watch all those episodes in one playlist instead of searching through the big one. And for the second season, I have a separate playlist for Stanley's videos and Tabitha's videos, because I didn't make them their own channels, which I did for the first season.
Yeah.
Which they don't have very many videos, but it's like, if you're just going to watch all of their videos, then you can just click on that playlist. I don't think I made any other separate playlists for the second season. But yeah. I might have playlists for bloopers. I actually don't think I do. I should do that. But
I suggest if you have
bloopers.
a multiple season show, make playlist for each season, but then also make a whole show playlist.
Yeah, I haven't done that, but I should.
You should.
Yeah.
You should do that tonight while we're thinking
No.
about it.
It's 11 hours long. I mean, not that I'm watching those 11 hours to make the playlist, but there's a lot of videos.
Is Tajwa seriously 11 hours long?
Yep. It's almost
Jeez.
exactly 11 hours long.
That is ridiculous.
The second season is like a couple minutes longer than the first.
Wow.
Yeah. But the second season does not have more content because that's including credits in the opening sequence and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's long.
Yeah.
I mean, there are shows that are one season that are longer than that, but...
Really?
Yeah.
I think
Shannen,
so.
you've kept track of this. What's the longest, you literary inspired web series at least, what's the longest one?
Give me 1 second.
I know the shortest is the Poe Party prequel that I can't remember the name of.
Oh, Telltale Vlog.
Yeah.
That one.
No, it's Eddy Rex, probably, right?
Well, yeah, probably. But
Yeah, now it's probably
no,
Eddie. No, because Telltale Vlog is really short.
Yeah, I guess Eddy Rex has, longer episodes than Telltale Vlog. Eddy Rex has,
hold on.
7-minute episodes, right?
From Mansfield with Love is 13 and a half hours.
Holy
But-
cow.
Their playlist includes bloopers.
Okay.
So I didn't calculate those out, but that's still 13 hours.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing about From Mansfield with Love is 100 episodes and a lot of them are 10 minutes long.
Yeah. Yeah. Telltale Vlog is the shortest. Where do I have...
But
feel
it's
like
30 minutes, which means Eddy Rex is probably shorter.
I could have sworn I put Eddy Rex on here, but I didn't. Yeah, Eddy Rex is probably shorter because the episodes are 5 minutes or less.
Just barely.
Okay. Are we done, Sarah?
Yep. Well, thank you guys for coming and talking about editing. And,
Thank you for having me. I really like editing, and if anyone listening is looking for someone to edit their thing and would like to pay me, hey!
Yeah, me too.
I'd say me 3, but we already established at the beginning of this that I'm not good. I'm working on it, though. I'm working on it. I just recently realized, because I've I do a lot of my editing in iMovie because that's just what I have. I've recently realized that it's designed that you're supposed to do the sound editing in GarageBand and then drop the sound clip into iMovie. And that's why iMovie
So there's
has
a last minute tip for the editors.
Yeah, because that's why iMovie has like no sound editing in it. It's because you're supposed to do it in GarageBand.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no tutorial. Like, iMovie didn't tell me I was supposed to do that.
And that's what this podcast is for the things that there are no tutorials for.
Yeah. And I'll be linking Incompetech and then YouTube audio library down below. I don't think we have mentioned any other particular resources.
Yeah, no. I don't think so.
In this episode. Alrighty. But yeah, well, thank you for listening, listeners, and thank you for being here, guys.
Thank you for having me.
I think that's it. So
I'll see you at an earlier point in time because I think my other episode is before this one.
Mine too.
Yeah, time travel.
Yeah.
This is almost the end of the show.
Yeah, this is episode 8.
Can you believe, Sarah, it's almost over.
Wow. Yeah, only 2 more episodes to record.
Thank you for having me here in our living room.
Where we live. On our new couch.
Won't be new on our next episode.
Nope, but it's new today as we're recording.
All right.
Bye.
Bye,
End
guys.
this nonsense.